Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I have the SAS Enterprise on-demand shortcut here. What I'm going to do is I'll just double click here. I hope all of you also have this on your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is initially I will take you through it and then we'll spend time wherein you all do it on your own. Okay? So just first pay attention as to how we are going to go about it. So it's a very simple tool, I will say. The whole thing, what we'll be doing here is, this was an enterprise guide version. Okay? So this has got certain features which are wizard driven. For example, if you are not sure as to what is the code to run a logistic regression, then there are it's a menu driven package wherein you can go for a run logic and you can get the result. Okay, there are things like this which in your actual SAS base you will not have, but this at the same time supports SAS based programming as well. So what would happen when you just double click and open this is you will get a pop-up which is going to ask for your username and password, right? So I hope all of you remember the username that you all have when you all were registering with SAS. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the username that I have, right? And I'm going to enter my password. Okay. So now I click on OK. And remember, guys, that this is accessing the SAS server. I mean, every procedure would take a little bit of extra time because processing time. But in real time, when you're working on SAS base, which will be installed on your system, this would not take so much time. Okay, that is the only difference. Otherwise, the code you would be using here, the results that we get, the windows that appear will all be the same as in your base SAS version. Alright? So now what we see is you get a pop-up window which says welcome to SAS Enterprise Guide. Okay. And you have an option to open a project which is already been saved. So currently this is our first project. That's the reason we will not obviously be using this option. And then the other options like a new SAS project, a new SAS program or a new data set. Right. So I go and click for a new SAS project. Okay, so now there are certain important windows. What all windows do you see here right now? Anybody? Mallikarjun, if you can help me. What are the different windows of SAS within SAS EG that you're seeing right now? Mallikarjun, you're there? You can hear me? Yeah, Mallikarjun, can you hear me? Okay, you can just unmute it and so that the rest of the participants also can hear. Yes. So what we see here? Yes, Mallikarjun. Yeah. So what we see here is a project flow and a project tree. Then we see a server list, and we are seeing this window called as project flow. Okay. So now, what is going to happen is this project tree and project flow, as you see going ahead, they are more or less similar to each other. The major difference being in your process flow, what you will see is a graphical representation of whatever you see in the project tree. Alright? So, and then serverless is, as the word itself specifies, it's a location your possible servers. For example, if I click on the servers here, right, you see there is SAS app server, right? And again under SAS app, you will see there are different sets of libraries which are there. Alright? So this is going to take some time to connect to the list of libraries. So yeah. So under your SAS app, you see two different parts, that is libraries and files. So now can anybody, Steve, what do you understand when you see something called as libraries here? What do you think it is? Yes, Steve? The multi-pattern says it's packages. Yes. In a way, you can call that. Steve? Sorry, we can't hear you. Gaurav?
I mean, I would guess.
What do you think libraries is?
I mean, Steve, I guess it would be the different modules that we use in this package. I mean,
yeah, somewhere close. See, libraries as the simple term what we generally use is again it's a collection of certain things, certain similar things, right? So here in SAS, when you say libraries is nothing but it is a collection of your data sets. Okay? So it is a location where you have your different data sets stored in different libraries. So you have, and there are certain predefined libraries and there are certain libraries which you can create. Okay? And files, it's nothing but it refers to the folders on your system. Okay? So you see here, under libraries, again, these are different types of libraries, right? So as I was saying, these are the predefined libraries that are already there. What you can see is EGA1. Since this is on-demand for academics, they are predefined dataset owner and map, and the rest of them like SAS help and SAS user, which are nothing but dictionary of all various SAS codes, including datasets, proc sets, which will be seen in the further as the session proceeds. And what you see is the work library also. Okay. So what we'll first do, and these are the windows that you see right now, that is the project tree, the process flow, and the server list, right? So now we'll have to see as to where do we write or edit the code in SAS. What you need to do is just go to File, okay, New. So we are into a new project already. What we want to do is write a new program, right? So I just click on New Program. Alright, so this is nothing but my code window. This is a place where I'm going to write my SAS code. Alright, so if you see in your process flow, there is a detailed description that you have created a new program window. That's a code window. And now when you write code and execute here, it will go into the log and then the results will be given in a output window. So what do you mean by a log window? Anybody? Mallikarjun? What do you understand by a log window? Am I audible? Mallikarjun? Okay. Yeah. Execute this code. there is something called as a log window, which pops up. So what is that? Anyway, Steve, would like to take a crack. What is a log window? Exactly. So what it does is it gives you a log of how your codes are being processed. Right? So what steps has been executed and what is the CPU time, what is the time it is taking to process your code. Alright? And it is also the same window which is going to throw your syntax errors. Right? In case you have certain error in the code, this window is going to pop up saying this is a location where there is an error, and you will obviously not be getting the output in that case. If your code is perfectly fine, then the log window will still be there, but it will not be popping up. You will get the output window. Yeah? Is that clear? That's how simple a log window is. We have Arup joining here. Hi, Arup. Okay, I think Arup is still not connected to his mic and speaker. Anyways, we'll proceed. Okay, so what I would say is now, please go on your systems, and you'll please try and come up to the stage wherein you'll open your own code windows before we go ahead with the coding part of it. In case you're already here, then let me know. See, are you already here on the same page as in where I am? Okay. Okay. I'll just give you the control. If you could share your screen with me. Okay. So double click on this, on the downloaded file. So Steve, you're installing it, right? Steve, you're there? You can hear me?
Sorry, I had that muted.
Okay.
Yeah. I've gone through the installation process, and when I attempt to connect to the server, I get this error message. You see it there?
I can't see it right now. Can you just double click here? Can you just try opening it?
What are you seeing? Because I've got dual monitors, so maybe you're not seeing the same monitor.
Okay. No. Go to your desktop. Minimize the screen.
Yeah, my desktop.
Okay.
Do you see my desktop? You might be seeing my other screen.
Okay, yeah. Just minimize this. Okay, go to the start menu.
Can you see my start menu?
Not yet. I think it's taking time to load. You're on the start menu already?
I'm on the start menu, yeah. Let me try something here real quick. I may be sharing the... Can you see that?
Okay. No, you should not be getting SAS server and select. Okay, just put in your username and password. Okay, this will come up here. Cancel this part. What I say is configure Windows client login. Yeah. Go ahead. Yes. You see it? Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead with the session. I'll help you with this installation a little later. Yeah, because I think that's going to take some time. So let's come back to my screen. I hope, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, great. I think, well, we've just started now, and I'm sure you're not...
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late a bit.
No. I don't think we have missed anything much.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay, so... Okay, so I hope all of you are, hope you have opened your new code window.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so now what you will see is, in SAS codes, broadly there are two different types of steps. See, whatever I'm explaining, I'll just put it down here. And this is not the code exactly. Okay. So as you know, SAS is used majorly for analysis, for analytics, right? So when we say analytics, what does it involve majorly? At a high level, what processes does it involve? Right? There is something called as data manipulation. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there is data analysis. Right? So even reporting. So keeping this in mind, SAS coding is broadly consists of two major types or parts of it, that is data step and the other is a proc step. When I say proc step, it is nothing but a procedure step, right? So data step is majorly used for data manipulation and creation, whereas the proc step is used to run procedures for reporting and analysis. Okay? So every every code of SAS, it's either going to be a data step or it is going to be a proc step. Or it's very rarely a combination of both. Okay. So when do we use the data step? Anybody, Gaurav?
I mean, as you wrote, there's data manipulation and creation.
Yes. And when do we use a proc step?
Running procedures,
Okay.
reporting and analysis.
Right. So now, Arup, if you can tell me, if I want to assume that I already have a data set, I want to get certain basic statistics of that data set. For example, assume that it is a telecom data set and you've got all the customer details and the call details. I want to know what is the average call of a certain set of customers. So would I use a proc step or a data step in that case?
It should be a proc step.
Yes, that's right. Why? Because the data is already there and we are trying to pull out certain reports out of the existing data. Right? So that is where we would use a proc step. Right? So in case we would, for example, there is a data set. So I think if Mallikarjun can answer this, there is a data set which is there and we don't want all the set of fields which are there. We are interested only in certain set of fields. So I want to eliminate the fields that I don't need and I want to retain only the ones which I want. So in this case, what step would I use? Data step or proc step? Mallikarjun? Mallikarjun, you're there? Okay, Gaurav, you can answer this?
Can you please again repeat?
Yeah, there is a data set which we already have. Okay. Yes. Assume there are about 10 fields in that. Out of the 10 fields, you're interested in working on only 6 fields. You don't want the other 4 fields. So, in order to do this, would you use a data step or a proc step?
We will use data step.
Yes. Why? Because it's simple that we are going to manipulate the existing data. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, Steve, is this clear so far? Steve, can you hear me, please? Am I audible, Steve?
Yes, you are audible.
Oh, yeah. So, is it clear so far?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, great. So, what we'll do is, we'll see a simple, as I told you all, we were talking about libraries even before we go to a code. So, what do you understand about libraries out of whatever I've explained? Steve, if you could answer this.
So the predefined codes that we can work with?
Yes, to put it nicely, it is the data sets that we are going to work with are what are going to be stored in the libraries. Right? Your library is nothing but a collection of all your data sets. Alright? So now the libraries are further divided into 2 types. That is a temporary library. Right? So Steve, if you could take a crack as to what is probably a permanent library or what is a temporary library? Whatever you understand out of it.
The permanent library is one that you intend on saving and using over and over again, whereas the temporary is maybe one you're just using for this particular session.
Exactly right. It's perfectly right. So that's what it is. What happens in permanent library is the data sets that are stored here are going to be there unless and until the user deletes them. Okay, they are going to be saved permanently. For example, in this session, we are going to create a data set and we are going to save it in the permanent library. Then that is going to exist even when we come back into our next session. Okay, whereas temporary library, as you rightly said, data sets are stored only as long as the current session is on. Yeah, once you close the current session, what do I mean by a session? Is now that I've opened SAS, right? When I close it, this is called as one session. So only during this session, whatever I save in a temporary library is going to be there, and after this, I will not be able to access it. I will not be able to access the data sets which I save in temporary library. Okay? And in SAS, there is only one temporary library, and that is work.
Yeah.
Yeah? Arup, Mallikarjun, you can see the temporary library under your library list, right? So, under servers, I have a server list here. In case, if you all don't have it, then you'll have to go to view, click on server list, and then you'll have libraries. There is this work library. Right? So, work is the only temporary library in SAS, whereas the rest of them are permanent libraries. Okay? And a user can also create user-defined libraries. Okay? So, we'll be handling this in our next session, because today's session will be concentrating mainly on the coding part of it, that is the data step and the Proc step, wherein we'll be using the existing data which is already there in the libraries that we have, and we'll be working majorly on the work library. Okay, but SAS does allow you to create a user-defined library. So, Mallikarjun, if you can let us know as to why would you need a user-defined library? Is it going to be of any use? Okay, I guess there's some problem with Mallikarjun's mic. So, Arup?
Yeah.
What is the use of having an option to create a user-defined library?
How can it be flashed for any other purpose?
For example?
If you have data which you need to library.
Yes. So what's going to happen is, for example, assume that you're working on, on different types of data sets, right? For example, you're working for one particular client who is a retail client, and you're working on the retail data set. At the same time, sometimes you're also working for a BFSI client. So you don't want to, log all these data sets into the same library. You would like to create different libraries so that it's easier for you to track down as to which are the data sets saved and where are they, and also to access them, right? So that is where you would need to create your own library, and SAS does allow you to do that by giving an option to create user-defined libraries. So to start off with, we'll just start off with a very simple set of code wherein we'll create a simple data set. Okay? And so when I'm saying create a simple data set, what type of code, what type of step will it be in SAS? Will it be a data step or a proc step?
Data step.
Yes, obviously it's going to be a data step. So when as I start typing, you can see I'm getting a list of options here, right? But this is going to happen only in this particular version of SAS, that is on demand for academics and the latest SAS Enterprise Guide. But in your actual SAS 9.2, this is not there. So you'll have to know your codes well. Okay? I just first of all just write the syntax. Yeah, and then I'll go ahead and explain as to what it is. Okay. So, yeah. So, if you see, every set of codes in SAS either begins with a data or a proc, right? So, if this is a data set, this is going to begin with data. And when I take my cursor on this, can you see it is giving a complete explanation of what type of statement is the data statement. Okay. So, how does the syntax go? For this, if you see a data set name. And there are various other options which go with it, which we'll be discussing in further sessions. Yeah? So, what is sample underscore data here? Steve? Exactly. It is the name of the data set, right? And what are these here? When I'm saying I'm using a keyword input and I'm passing the values student underscore ID, student underscore name and country. So what are these?
These are your fields of
Exactly. These are the names of the fields that we are creating, right? And what are these set of values which I'm highlighting here?
These are your entries.
Yeah, these are nothing but your records. This is the data that you're entering, right? So this is a very simple code which is going to create a data set by name sample data, and it is going to have three fields. Fields in SAS are referred to as variables. Okay? So here on, whenever I say variables, I mean the fields in a data set. Alright? So this has got three variables: student underscore ID, student underscore name, and country. And the records in SAS, I will be referring to them as observations. So how many observations are here, Arun?
4 observations.
Yeah, there are 4 observations. So this simple code is going to create a data set called sample data with 4 observations and 3 variables. Right? Can anybody tell me what is the difference that you see in the way I've written these variable names? For example, I've just written student underscore ID, but here student underscore name is followed with a dollar symbol, and so is country followed with a dollar symbol. Why is that so? Yes, Mallikarjun, you're right. It's just different data types, right? So, SAS it's got only 2 data types, right? One is numeric and the other is character. Okay, remember something, in SAS there are only 2 data types. One is a numeric type of data and the other is character data type. Okay, so here a student ID, I'm saying that it's a numeric value, and student name and country are character values. Therefore, any variable which is a character variable has to be followed by a dollar symbol. Otherwise, SAS will not be able to read it because it is assumed by default it is numeric, the way it is with student underscore ID. Is that clear so far?
Yes.
Okay. So, now when I execute, I have a run option here. I can either click on this or I right click and I say run selection on SAS app. Okay, which is a server which we are using. Both of them are the same. Okay, so I click this run selection on SAS app. I select, is this clear? What I'm doing is I'm just selecting this set of code, right? And I can either use this option here, run, or run selection on SAS app. Okay, so this is going to take some time while it executes, because accessing this SAS app server. Okay. So, in the meantime, can anybody tell me where is this data set going to get saved?
Work.
Yeah?
In your work library. In the temporary library work.
Okay. Arup, what do you say?
It's too temporary.
Okay. Steve, where do you think this data set is going to be saved? Yeah? Steve?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Tell me please.
Okay. In the work library?
Okay. Yes. In the program, if you note, we have just mentioned the table name, right? So by default, in SAS programming, by default, you're referring, when you don't mention a library name, you're referring to work library, which is temporary library. Alright? So this would be saved in a temporary library work. So if you see on my screen, you have the log window here, right? And the output window is getting populated. You all don't have to write through the entire code. I'll just share it with you. So can you see this part of the screen wherein you have 3 variables created? Yeah, student ID, student name and country. And there are 4 observations. Yeah? So can you see what is the difference? The way, even when you look at the table, you can differentiate what is the data type of it. Your numeric data type is given this symbol, and even when you take your cursor here, it shows type numeric. And similarly, your student name and country are character data types, and therefore this is a symbol used. Yeah? Data. Is this perfectly fine? Is it exactly the same the way we had entered it? Where it is in the code? Those of you agree with it? Can raise your hand or let me know. Is this exactly the same? Yeah? So, just pay attention. Anybody? Pay attention to this data. See the values which are written there.
The countries are not completed, the last one.
Yes, US is right, India is right, UK is right, but in case of Australia, the last A is missing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
So why do you think that is the case?
Sure.
Any guess? Anyone?
It says length is 8, so Australia is more than 8 characters.
Exactly. So by default, the length of any character variable that it reads is 8 characters. That is the default length, right? But obviously we know that character values cannot be restricted to 8, but this is the default value. So in case we want to enter further to this, then we'll have to specify the length explicitly, saying 20, 30 or whatever it is, right? So that is what we need to do. So you got that right. So what is the default length of any character variable?
8.
Exactly. And there are certain rules which, let me just take this. This is how your log window is going to look like. Okay, wherein it is detailing as to what, if you, as I was saying, you real time, system CPU time, and so on and so forth, which are the code lines of code that are being executed and everything. In case we had a problem with any of the syntax, then the error also would be populating in the same place. Okay? And coming back here, so we'll further see as to how do we handle this length. We have to explicitly mention the length of it. For instance, I say 15. Right?
Don't it give any error message while reading it?
No, it is not going to give any error message because by default it reads only it and it truncates the rest. It's only when you get to see through your data that you will know that, it's got truncated. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So, coming back here, but obviously remember something, this set of code is just for us to get understanding of what are the data types in SAS, how are variables defined, what are the default characteristics and attributes of it. Practically, you will never be using the code to create a data set, right? Because the reason we are using SAS is because we are handling a very huge data, which we're basically working on importing and exporting data sets. Okay? So this is just a simple example to just get a sense of what are the data types, what are records, and what are observations and what are variables. Right? So I put this on again. So remember something. Always, okay, just execute. Show it here so that you'll know what happens. Okay. Let's see, yes. So it's going to take some time. Okay. So is this clear so far? Any doubts till this part? Right? Arup, is this clear to you? Steve?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, fine.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, great. So is this the data that we wanted? Is this right?
No.
Yeah, there's a probability length value, right? So it needs to end with a period here. And then you need to execute this. In the meantime, I'll just share this code with you so that you can just try it on your screens. Yeah? Let's just put it in the chat window. You can just copy paste it onto your code window and try executing this. Right? In the meantime, I would also say just click on this particular library called ABA1. Those of you who are able to work conveniently on SAS, I think Steve, you don't have to worry. After the session, I'll help you install it and you can practice it using this recorded video, or you can also get in touch with me. Yeah? Is that fine, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. So, on clicking on this particular library, what do I see? I see a list of SAS data sets. What do you see here? These are nothing but your SAS data sets which are saved in this particular library. Okay. These are the practice data sets which are saved beforehand. So, we can use just any one of these. Okay. So, here I have a question as this set of code executes. As I was telling you, now you see there's this data set called bank. Right? Yeah? So, if I want to know how many variables and how many records are there, and what is the data type of all these variables? Basically, if I want to get an overview of what type of data is there in this data set, what should I be doing? Should I be using a proc step or a data step? Firstly, I just want to get an overview of what is there in this data.
Data step.
I want to see. Are we going to change anything in the data here? See, my question is, I just want to see what is there in the data set. I don't want to do any changes there.
Proc step?
Yes. So, because I just want to take a view of what is there in the data, I'll be using a simple proc step, right? And now that I'm using a proc step, what is it that I want to know? I want to know just the contents of my data, right? When I say contents of my data, for example, this is sample data. I want to know how many variables are there, how many observations are there, and what is the data type of the variable. So what does that mean? I'm interested in knowing that there is a student ID, student name and country, of which only student ID is a numeric variable, and there are 4 observations. Correct? So in order to extract this kind of result, what I will do is use a simple proc step. And what is this proc step called as? This is proc contents. Alright? Proc contents. What is the file? Data equals. Yeah. Which is the file that I want to access? I want to access bank. Yeah. So where is the bank data set saved? It is under folder ABA1. Right? So I have to say ABA1 dot. It's always the library dot. Then the data set name. What's the data set name? Bank. Is that clear?
So this is case insensitive? I mean,
yes, SAS is entirely case insensitive. Unless and until you're doing certain conditional checks, like if you want to see if a variable is containing a value, if country is equal to India, right? In that case, the value India becomes case sensitive, the way it is presented in the data set. But otherwise, SAS code as such is case insensitive.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so don't worry, you will see that as we proceed in the classes. Okay, so proc contents data equals to data set name. Similarly, if I had to write proc contents for sample data, how would I write? Steve?
Equals.
Data equals.
The sample data is it under ABA1?
No, I'm saying sample underscore data. Where is sample underscore data?
It's in the work folder. So it'd be work dot sample
work dot sample underscore data, or I can even write it as proc contents data equals just sample underscore data. For a simple reason, both these sets of codes are the same. Right? It's synonymous to each other because it is, even if I don't mention work dot and I just put in the data set name, by default it is going to read as work dot. But in case of other libraries, I have to explicitly mention the library name and then dot the data set name. Is that clear? So let's see. When I execute this set of code, what is the result? So, remember something. When you're writing, when you're using your proc steps, a data set is not created. The result is thrown on the output window. Can you see this? Name, right? How many observations are there in this data set?
32,367.
367. How many variables are there? 3. Right? It gives data when it was created, what was the system used, and so on. What we have been very much interested is this part. What is this? It is the alphabetic list of variables and their attributes. So how many character variables are there in this data set?
One.
Yeah, there's only one character variable which is service, and the rest of them are numeric variables, right? Can you see something after this? This is clear. I hope everybody is clear what a variable is. Nothing but a variable name. Type is the data type. Length is whatever is the maximum length of that particular variable. Here in this case everything is 8. What is format, informat, label? Okay, format and informat will come back with. What is label? Any idea?
The description.
Exactly. It is just a description of your variable name. Okay. So in this case, we are saying service is the type of account or service. Right. Visit is nothing but order of service addition. Right. So it is a description given to your variable. Right. And format and informat, yes, will be coming to this as to what it is. Okay.
What do you write this description? Did you write it for this sample data?
No, we haven't written. We can write it.
Okay.
You can mention label, variable name is equal to the label that you want to give. Right? For example, label, for example, ID is equal to yeah.
Okay.
So this would assign a label to student ID. Okay. Similarly, there are a lot of other options that we'll be seeing in this particular procedure only. That is creating a simple sample data. For example, one of them is label. The other is rename option, where you can rename the name of the variable that you want using. Right. And similarly, there is something called as format and informat, which we'll be discussing shortly. Okay. So, is this clear? Proc contents? Right? Yeah? So, now let's just open the data set and see how it goes. So, I just double click on this and my data set opens. So, if you remember, how was the list of variables given in your proc contents? Anybody? Specifically, how did it read? How many variables are there in this data set?
3.
3 variables, right? So, and when we just scroll down further, it said alphabetic list of variables. So, in case we use this one. So what you're saying is it was specifically given that it's an alphabetic list of variables, right? But it is not the order in which the variables appear in the data set. Are you all getting the difference?
Sorry, once again?
See, when I execute proc content, okay, you come here. How many variables are here in this particular data set? What's the data set name? Census 2000? Okay, and there are 7 variables. And to know which are those 7 variables, I scroll down. Right? There's only one character variable, which is your ID. And the rest of them are numeric variables. Correct? Right? And what does it say? It says alphabetic list of variables and attributes. Okay. So when I go to this thing, I'll just open this data set. It is not the way in which it is arranged in the data set. Okay, it is an alphabetic list of variables. So when you're working on real-time data, you will be working on variables ranging up to 25, 30 to 50 variables in the data set. Right? In that case, you would obviously be more interested in seeing the list of variables the way they appear in the data set and not in a alphabetic order. Right? There is a possibility that you have this requirement also. Right? So, in that case, what you do is you have an option called as varnum. Right? Yeah? So what's going to happen now is, yeah?
I mean, I'm not seeing your screen on your SAS. I'm seeing the
Okay. Okay. Can you see it now?
Okay.
Yeah. So, if you see here, I've just done a Proc contents for sample data. Right? Country is a third variable, but in alphabetic order, this is how it appears. Right? Getting the difference, guys?
Using one.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay. So, I use the varnum here. And then my result window is going to show the result of a list of variables in the same order that they appear in data set. So the objective of this was that there are various different options like this. So variables in creation order. Can you see it here?
I have a question here, Uma.
Yes, please.
You had the label in the when you created the data sample set. Why the label is not showing?
No, because I've not executed this code. I've just written a label. Yeah. Whenever I make any change in the code, I need to execute it so that it reflects, right?
Oh, I see.
Now I execute it, so now it will have, and now it will show the label also. Okay?
Okay.
Just to give you a view as to how does a Proc step look like. Okay? So I have a small question for you all here. In the same sample data set, I want to add one more variable, which is the student date of joining. Okay? So that is going to be a date variable, am I right? Yes? So can anybody help me with the code? There's going to be a small change in the code, which we have already written. So can anybody help me with the code as to how the code would probably look like? Yeah, so we're just going to make small change in this data itself. Okay, so this is created. I come back here. So I'm saying I want one more variable. About making changes on existing, we'll go to that further, but I just want to add a variable here. So I say date of joining. Right or wrong? So how many variables I have now? I have 4 variables. So now, date of joining, is this going to be a character value or a numeric value? Steve, any guess? Sorry, Steve, I didn't get you.
Numeric value?
Exactly, because date is your numeric value, right? So it has to be numeric, correct? So now what I do is I enter the date values here in DDMMYY format. That's going to be.
But isn't the backslash will be treated as a character instead of numeric?
Exactly. So that is why we are trying to work on this particular thing wherein. Okay, so now we have added DOJ, which is a date value, right? And we agree that it is numeric, correct? Let's see what happens when we try to execute this. Let me just go back here. All I do, so if I want to, I can give a label to DOJ also. I give a space, I write DOJ equals date of joining. Okay. So now I select this part. A shortcut to run this. One is you can do this and select it. You use S3. And say yes. Yeah. So let's see what will be the result. So how many of you all say that this data will be read properly? Especially the date value. Okay, now let's say that it won't be read properly. Malik, will it be read properly? No. Okay. What if I declare a character value? Assume that I've declared C. What has happened here? What are these? What we call this as in SAS is a missing values, right? Why? Because we have declared that as a numeric value, but what we have done is there is a slash which is there, which is a non-numeric value, right? Therefore, SAS cannot read it, and there are missing values. And numeric missing values are represented by a period. Can you see the period here? Right? Numeric missing values are represented by a period, whereas character missing values are blank. Yeah? So, what should be the data type? Okay, let's say I give this as character. How many of you all say that this will get executed properly?
Should we have to specify the number also, the number of characters?
If required, we can, but will this code execute run properly? I mean, will you get the desired result?
I guess.
Arup? Yeah. Gaurav agrees. Arup, what do you say? Arup, you're there? Steve?
You'll get a result, but you won't be able to do any mathematical computation on the date if you needed to in the future.
Right, right. So what's going to happen here is you will see that the variable is being populated. Your DOJ, the date of joining, will have those set of values into it, whatever we have specified in the code. But in case I want to compute, okay, assume that you have got thousands together of observations, and you want to see how many what are the frequency of your customers or your students who have joined in one particular month, right? You want to do a roll-up by month. In that case, you'll not be able to do it. Why? Because this is saved as a character and not as a number, whereas your date is actually a number. It's a numeric value. Agreed, right? So what do we do about this? How do we handle this kind of a situation? That is where, format and informat comes into picture. Okay? What is meant by informat? So what is the current problem that we are facing? The current problem that we are facing is that we have a particular value which is numeric, but we are not able to read it as numeric. Basically, the system is not able to comprehend this as a numeric value. Right? Correct? Am I right? Is this the problem?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah. So what we now need to do is we need to use a language through which your system is going to understand, okay, that this is a numeric value and I need to treat it as a numeric value. Alright? So that is where we use something called as informat. What does informat do? Informat reads the data which is in a non-standard form to your system. Why is this in a non-standard form? Because it has got special characters involved into it. Remember, you would have asked me, right? Why didn't I get something like this? Will this work? Sample hyphen data? Any guess? Anyone? Will I get the result if I use the data name as sample hyphen data? Steve?
I'm not sure. I guess it depends on whether it's a reserved character or not.
Exactly. So your SAS does not understand or comprehend any special character, including space, with an exception being underscore. Okay? So, SAS will not understand anything other than numbers. Character, we have to use the informat here, and we are using a special character slash here, which a system is not able to understand. Right? So we have to communicate it to the system that this is something which you need to read in a certain fashion. Correct? So it's informat. Which variable do I want to informat? Which is the variable on which I want to informat?
DOJ.
Yes, the variable name is DOJ. Right? And what is the type of informat? As I was telling you, it is the way, is it MMDDYY or DDMMYY? Or YYMMDD, whatever. So it is DDMMYY. And we need to, every format or informat is followed by the name and the length of it. So what is the length of this? 8. Right? So you don't have to worry about this. These are predefined formats and informats which are listed in SAS. Yes. The way you need to write it is, this is your DDMMYY is the informat name. It is the same name for your format also. We'll see why we need to use that. Right? Informat name. This is the informat length. Right? And every format and informat needs to end with a period. This is how the syntax is. Okay? Every format and informat needs to end with a period. So, separator you don't have to be worried about, that is slash, it will read on its own. Okay? Because that is how this informat is designed. That is how this has been designed at the back end. Okay? There are certain lists of them which I'll be sharing with you all as a reading material which you can go through. Right? So now let's see.
This is separator, different separator. Instead of backslash, can you use?
No, you cannot.
It was fixed, right?
Yeah.
It's always backslash.
Yes, it has to be a backslash. For example, again I'm saying, if you want to write this, if you write it like this, then it will be DDMMYY 10 dot. Correct? Right? Or the same way, if I write it like this, if I write it as 0, 1, 1, 4. So now what will it be? It will be MMDD5. Right? And if I write it like this, right? If I write 14 Jan 2012. Right? So this is a different form. This is called as date 9 dot. Right? So don't have to worry about it. There is a list of informats. Have to use whatever, they have given a huge list of combination. So you can use any of those, but you have to stick to these particular formats and informats which are predefined.
Okay.
Okay, is that clear? So this is what we're using for now, right? So now I select it. So now, tell me, will I get the desirable result? The desired result.
Yeah.
Yes. So Steve, do you think we'll get the desired result? Yes, Steve?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So let's see.
But we are still missing the length of the character of the country.
Yeah, because I've taken it out because you have to give an explicit length statement. I'll show that also to you. So that's not the one. Okay. Okay. So is this what we entered, guys? Is this right or not? Arup?
What is the data? Can you show me?
And this is the output that we are having.
Still not correct, looks like.
Yes, isn't it? Is this not right, or is there something which we are not able to understand?
If the offset function is ordering is correct. It's two consecutive numbers of 2 days are mapped to consecutive numbers.
Correct. Absolutely right. So, yes, it is something that we are not able to understand. The result is there, but we are not able to comprehend as to what is the result. Am I right, Steve? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So, there is something, so what was the initial problem? The initial problem was there was some data which the system wasn't able to comprehend or to understand. Right? That is the reason it was giving some blank values. To take care of that, what did we do? We wrote a simple informat statement through which we convey to the system that this is the manner in which you have to read it. Correct? So, through that, it has read the data. But now the result that it is showing is something which we are not able to comprehend. For a simple reason, there is something called as informat is used to read non-standard SAS data. Right? So now, why is it appearing this way is nothing but your date starts counting from a certain base value. Correct? Yeah. So what is the base date which your Microsoft Excel counts? How is date computed? The base date starts counting from Jan 1st, 1900. Correct? So it makes Jan 1st 1900 as 1 and it just starts counting the number of days to whatever date value you give and then further convert back it into the date format. Right? So similarly in SAS, your date cutoff, that's what we call as date cutoff. Your date cutoff is Jan 1st 1960. Okay? So what it does is from Jan 1st 1960, it counts the number of days and it is put in here. But this result is not useful to us as an end user because we are not able to understand what date it is. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So what we need to do is we need to put it back into a user readable format. So what do? I use format. Correct? What am I using format on? Again on DOJ. And I wanted MDD format. Yeah? So your formats and informats are the same. Right? It depends on what you want to use at what and how you want to use it. Okay? So understood what I did? I've inserted one more line of code that is format. Correct? Format. Yes.
Can I put it? Instead of putting DDMMYY, can I put it DDMMYY there?
No, you can't make it as YYYY, but what you can do is, you can put it as MMDDYY and make it as 10 dot. Okay, the length has to be increased. That is how, it can be this way. Got it? Or it can even be this way. Is that clear?
I didn't get it. And then why did you insert the length?
Because you can't give it as YYYY. This is not there in the, as per the pre-definition of informats and formats.
Okay. YY10 means we have 4.
Yes, you have 4 digits in your year.
Yes,
okay.
Okay.
So that is how you can get it as a complete year of 4 digits. And I can, if I want to display it as MMDDYY, I can do that also. By giving it as MMDDYY. If no, I say no, I want it as DDMMYY only, then I continue with this. Right? I can select this. And I execute the code. So now what's going to happen is, what it has done is in format, we use it to read non-standard SAS data. Format is to view data as per user requirement. Yeah? Is that clear? So Steve, is the concept of informat and format clear now?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes, please.
How do you make us understand if your date is not 2012 and say it is 1912?
Okay. That is something called as working on year cutoff values. Okay. When I told you that your SAS year cutoff is 1960, right?
Mm-hmm.
It starts with 1960 as 0 and something before that will be in negative values, negative integer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It starts from 1960 and the year cutoff heads on to 2060 or 2059, right? It's a span of 100 years. Okay. If you want to work on date values prior to this or beyond this, then there is something called, an option called as year cutoff. Okay. So we can use that option and read date values as per the requirement. So that can be done.
So can't we handle dates ranging more than 100 years?
No, you'll have to use a year cutoff and then accordingly adjust it. Right. So, for example, you are saying that you want to work on certain date value which is beyond the scope of 100. Then you start your baseline. You can change the baseline of it. You don't have to keep 1960 as your baseline. You can make 1990 as your baseline. So that it can span up to the next 100 years. Or that that option, that flexibility is there by using your year cutoff. Okay, so now you see.
You have two,
yeah,
you have 2 days. One is at 17th century, another is at 21st century. Is it possible to put together?
No, in the same set of date values, it is, you will have to use multiple year cutoffs in the same program, and that is possible, but that is a very rare instance. But yes, you can handle it. If you use multiple year cutoffs to read one after the other, you can do it.
So, but we need to consider it together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. First, you give a certain range of year cutoff, and then read it, then change the year cutoff, and then reread the data.
So, is the year cutoff is creating a problem? Because if the year cutoff is...
no, there is, what I would say is, there is an option. There is, okay.
The offset can be any number of them, right? 100, 200, 500.
That can also change. That can also be changed. So there is an option. There is this function actually called as year cutoff, which comes under date function, date and time function, which can be used for the flexibility of reading date values. Yeah. So is this the result that we are looking forward to? So do you have it here? Yes, guys? Yeah?
No, can you share that code, please? I want to run.
Yeah, sure. I'll just share it with you. Okay. Just pasted it, you can try. Okay. So I've got a couple of questions here. See, when it comes to date functions and everything, I mean, we'll be going in detail as to how you can handle the year cutoff, how you can handle the different year, month options, and so on. Here, the objective is to understand the concept of informat and format. Right? I hope that part is clear. Yes? Okay. So I have a question here. Okay. For instance, I want to create one more variable. Here that is revenue. So my revenue is going to be numeric. And I write it like this. Yeah? Guys? So I've added one more variable name called revenue, and I've entered the values that I want to read. Okay. So now each one of you are going to tell me if I execute the code as it is. So is this character or numeric type? Revenue is character or numeric here? It's numeric, so I don't have to give a dollar symbol here. Am I right? So I assume I execute this code as it is. I don't want to execute it right away because it's going to take some more time to process it. So let's just have a discussion. So assume I run it. What will be the result that I get? Steve?
I think it will be like the first time you did the DOJ. It'll give you the missing data.
Why?
Because it has a non-standard character in there, the comma.
Exactly. Because there is a non-standard value there, that is comma. Right? So if I just run it like this, it will not be able to read this because the data is not in a standard SAS format. Right? So in order to handle this, what I have to do, should I use a format or an informat, Aruk?
This should be informat.
To read this, we have to use informat. Right? And again, to display it, I need to use a format. Correct? Yeah. So, if I had, so what is it, I mean, as I said, I'll be sharing the list of informats and formats. These are predefined, so don't have to worry about it. So I say revenue is, comma, I give it as 8 dot or 9 dot, whatever, based on the length of it. Right? But this is as revenue, right? If I give this as comma 8 dot, what will be the result? the way we have written it here, it will be displayed. Am I right, Malik? Yes, will you continue this? Yeah. So if I write it in the format as revenue, comma A dot, then I'll get it in the same way as I've written in the code. But in the result, I want it prefixed with a dollar symbol. Basically a currency symbol, because this is a revenue value. I know it's a revenue value, so I want it with a currency symbol, but I'm not going to enter it here. So in that case, will my format be the same or will it be different? What do you think about it?
Different.
Yeah, it will obviously be different. So there is something called as dollar format and informat, which I need to use. In case while reading, I have data like this. So in this case, what will be my informat? If my code is like this, what will be my informat? Will it be comma A dot? Gaurav?
I think it has to be both comma and a dollar.
So, dollar by default embeds comma into it. So what you do is you make it as this dollar A dot. So that's right. So getting a hang of format and informat?
But why we have 8 dot?
That is the length of it. So 1. It includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The maximum here is 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can even give a higher number. That's not a problem. You can even make it as 10 dot. But if you make it as something lesser than the maximum length, then it will not read properly again.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So this is about formats and informats to just give you a hang of how your data is read and how it can be changed.
Uma, yeah. I ran the code that you shared. And maybe after the session, when you get a chance, I'm getting an error there.
Okay.
So maybe once you are finished with your, we can
sure. I think we can do it in some time. Mallikajan has got a question here. He's asking, can we make it a dynamic length, right? So yes, you can make it as a dynamic length, but not at this level. You will have to write a macro and code it, make a simple code around it. At this level of a data set, you can't make it dynamic. Okay? But yes, that option of making dynamic is possible only when you go to level of macro, wherein you are writing, you are macroizing your codes. Alright? Is that clear? Alright. So, I think Gaurav, right? Was it Gaurav or Arup?
Yeah, it's Gaurav.
Okay. So, Gaurav, I'll make you the presenter. You can share my screen and I'll see. Okay.
Can you see my desktop?
Okay, I can see it. Sample data. Okay, select it now.
If I run this. Yeah, actually, the log was giving me, it was giving me like this.
Okay, so, go back to your code.
I'm gonna...
Is it the informat and the date format?
Yes, because the data here, if you see, 1401, no, that's okay, that is fine, but your data here,
I see.
This is not entered properly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, 1, 2.
Pasted wrong, I don't know what I did.
Probably, it just went to the up and down, must be. Okay, your ID is also not there. So, come back here. Yeah, I think because of that mismatch, it's got one, two, yes. Just remember, just one second. Gaurav, what you do is, you can just remove the trailing space at the end here, at the end of every line. Here, in your data line, yes. Go to the end. Yeah. Just do this. See, there is a topic which we'll be covering in a SAS programming that is called as Informat. Okay? Informat is about reading raw data. So when we come there, sorry?
Informat needs to be 10, right?
Yeah, informat needs to be 10. Yeah. So it's about what I was saying is in files. It's about reading the raw data. So when we come there, you'll be able to understand why only one space needs to be given and how exactly SAS reads in your data. Okay. Let's not get into that at this point of time. I guess you should be getting the results. Okay, it will take some time. We'll just take some time.
Okay.
Because we are accessing the SAS server, right? So, that was...
Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you got the result now? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, coming back. Everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay, good. So, what we have seen so far is a very basic understanding of what a library is and which are the permanent and temporary libraries, and broadly there are two steps: there's data step and a proc step. And how do we read data? What is informat, format, and so on, right? We've also seen the procedure called as proc contents, which is going to give you an overall view of the contents of a particular file. Correct? Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's one more procedure which we'll just take a quick look into, which is fairly simple, called as proc print. As the word says print, it is just going to give you a print view of your dataset. For example, this is the dataset itself. Am I right? What you're seeing now is the dataset itself. Okay? But what your proc print is going to do is it is going to give you an HTML view of the same dataset. So say data equals, I'll say, okay, let me use something else. Let me use churn. So in order to get the proc print of churn, I have to write EBA1 dot churn. Am I right? Right? Run. Okay. Use S3 to execute the selected code. Yeah.
How do you change the data set you created in a permanent tab?
What you can do is, in case, but we'll not be able to do it right now because as an instructor, I'm not given the access to control libraries. Okay? Let's see here. What I do is EBA1 dot.
Okay.
Okay? So in this case,
Everything there.
yeah. But right now,
Once you run it, it will be saved, yeah?
sorry? Come again?
Once you run it, it will be saved in EBA1.
Yes, yes. But right now I'm not sure because if we have the right control to this particular library, because it is on-demand access, right? So when we start the actual session, what we'll be doing is I'll be creating an access to create our own user-defined libraries. Okay, so that with every session you can create your own library and save your data sets there. Right? So once we get that control, we'll be able to comfortably save it there. But so in case you would have, assume I have created a library called as test1, then I say test1 or session1. And then I can save it there. Okay. Okay, this is going to take some time. Okay, and in the meantime, I would like to, as I was telling you, the data set name cannot have anything other than your numeric values, character values, and exception being underscore in case of special character, right? The same rule holds for your variable also, but other than that, there are variable names. Okay? The first thing is can be only a combination of numeric, character or underscore. Correct? It cannot have anything other than these. Right? No other special characters. No space. In between or any special character can be used. Right? Okay, I'll just show it to you what happens. Okay, see, it says the results are large and would take a long time. Because what a Proc does is it tries to print the same set of values that are there in your data set. So it will take longer. We'll do an easier thing. What we'll do is we'll again use a sample data here so that it's quick. Okay. In the meantime, also remember you can try it on your course. Dataset name, dataset or variable name cannot begin with a number. Yeah? Example. Yeah? It cannot be. Yeah? Is this clear?
No.
Yeah? But it can be day one. Yeah? Similarly, no space in what? The maximum length of a dataset name cannot exceed, any guess, how many characters? 32 characters. And this is including underscore.
This is true for variable as well?
Yeah, this is true for a variable name as well. Okay? Okay, now tell me, is this a valid name? I mean, I'm not discussing, but you can still take a guess. Is this a valid dataset name? Is this valid?
Yes.
Yes. Which means dataset or a variable name can begin with underscore. It only cannot begin with a character, with a numeric value. It can begin with an underscore or numeric. Is this a valid name?
Yeah.
How many of you agree this is valid? Steve, is this valid?
I believe it is.
Malik, is this valid? Yes, indeed, it is valid name. Yeah? Because it's beginning with underscore. The same thing, if it was this, then it is invalid. Yeah? So these are the rules when you give a name to a dataset or a variable. Right? So when we begin a session and when we'll be discussing how to create a library, then I'll share the rules with that as well. So far, guys? Okay, so here you see you have a results window on executing proc print. Can you see the result? Can you see my window? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the result window on executing proc print. What is it doing? It is showing the same data that is there in your data set, right? With all the observations and the variables, and it's also assigning the observation number. Correct? Is this right? So in case I don't want a list of all the variables, I want a list of only certain specific variables. Okay? I just want to...
It's still printing the... It's still not printing the label. Should I print the label too?
No, because you are not specified label. If you want the label to be printed, I see. Label. Okay. So now, for example, now I'm interested only in getting a student ID and country. Okay. I want to view only these two things. So I use a statement called as var statement. Okay. Var is used to select the list of variables. Var std underscore ID and country, right? So here we don't have to specify the data type because this is the proc step, right? The data is already read into the data set. So you are just trying to play around with the data which is already there. That is, pull out certain specific information from there, right? So what will be the result of this? Yeah? So what do you see? So can you see here now? Your variable name is not there, but rather the label is being displayed for student ID. Correct? Yeah? So, and you see whatever set of variable names is specified in the var statement, only those are displayed here. So that is how, I mean, again, as I'm mentioning, we will be spending about, there are a lot of options that go with proc print. You can extract, the desirable information, like you can extract only a certain set of observations, and you'll be able to extract the observations based on the observation number, right? So all those different options, like the way we said now, you see, there's a label option. Similarly, there are a lot of other options also. Yeah. So which we'll be dealing in detail when we start off the actual session. Any doubts so far?
Nope, sounds good.
Yeah, is this comfortable? So this is how we would be working on, and every session will be followed by a series of your exercise questions for you all to work at your convenience before we come up with the next session, just so that you all are a bit thorough with whatever has been done. So I hope this demo gave you some brief idea, sneak peek into what SAS is, how SAS code looks like, right? And how it is executed. Isn't this fairly simple?
Yes.
Yes? Right. So it is fairly simple. The only challenge in SAS, see what happens is, as I mentioned earlier also, this is a fourth generation language, wherein the coding is, the actual coding is already done in the backend. So whatever we are writing here, especially a proc print, for that matter, proc contents, right? What is happening is we are calling those predefined procedures which are written by using these set of simple codes. Right? For example, I write proc means data. So what is this? This is going to give me some basic statistics of my data, right? So I say proc means, I just say ABA1 dot bank, or I say census. Right? So what does a simple proc means procedure do? It's going to give me some basic statistics like your mean, median, standard deviation, minimum and maximum values. Okay. So the reason I'm just sharing this with you is to let you know we are not writing a code to find the mean or a median. Can you see the result here? Guys, can you see the result here? So what it says is the means procedure for each variable of that particular data set. We use census 2000, and it is basic. Proc means will throw a result obviously only for numeric variables, right? Numeric. So if all of them are 33,178, it means there are no missing values there. What is the mean value? What is standard deviation? The minimum and the maximum value.
Does it also give for date?
Sorry? No, we are using census 2000, right? Yeah, this does give for date also. Because at the end of it, it's a numeric value, right? Yeah. So, this is how a means procedure. The reason we are discussing this is we haven't written a code to find the mean of a value, which is sum of all divided by the number of observations. Am I right? Right? Similarly, we are going to a level of writing those program to find a standard deviation. All of it is already there, but what we are doing is we are calling those particular set of procedures or codes which will execute those certain set of codes. Getting it? So basically, it's a very simple programming language. But having said that, there are a large number of procedures and a lot of options that go with it. So the crux is in practicing it well and doing the required reading so that you know what are the options that go with a certain set of procedures, and you'll be able to gain that expertise only when you practice it well. Yeah? So it's all about doing regular practice, being in touch with it. With that, it's very simple to understand and do very well in SAS. Is that clear, guys? Yeah? Okay. So I mean, I hope now you're confident that you all can handle some of the important and the frequently used procedures. And a lot of other data steps are also there. Yeah? Okay. So any doubts so far?
No.
Okay. Great. So I think what we'll do is, I think, was this demo session comfortable? So we're able to. Okay. So I hope you have now got the sufficient idea of how it's going to be, and the other sessions ahead also are going to be. See, today it was a mix of everything, as in a data step, a little bit of a proc step, and everything, so that you all got an overall idea as to broadly how the coding is going to look like. But once we start the actual sessions, it's going to go as per the flow that we have mentioned on the way it's mentioned in the website. That is, first we will be handling with the important data steps. That is, how to manipulate data and everything. Then we'll be going to importing and exporting of data sets, right? And then we'll be going to a lot of other procedures. Then we'll be seeing as to how to redraw data files using InSpice, right? So we'll be following that, and it will be furthermore structured and easier for you all to understand also. So I think this is how much we'll be covering in our demo session, and I hope that it has given you a comfort level on using to start off with SAS basically. Yeah. And this is the same software that we'll be using. We'll be using SAS On Demand for academics. And Steve, you don't have to worry. I'll help you with installing it on your system. And yes, there is the only challenge that we'll be facing here. Be patient. So that is what it is. Okay. And before we close the session, I also, since I work on a lot of, okay, I'll just finish this recording and then I'll share it with you. So, can we call it a day with as far as the demo is concerned? Or if you'll have any doubts, we can discuss. Okay, so I'll do something. I'm just pasting the entire code along with the proc contents and the procedure. So you all can, so that you can just practice whenever it's convenient for you all. And similarly, try different permutation combinations of these, and we'll take it forward from here on. Whoever is interested to join in for the complete class, we can, we can accordingly go ahead with it. And let me know as to if you all have any further doubts or you all need any clarification, especially with handling the software and so on. Yeah? Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. So before you all leave this session, I'll just stop recording and then I'll just share something.